Thanks for the opportunity. Hello, everyone. My name is Mo. I'm a solution architect on AWS in the Amplify team. One of my favorite things to do outside work is exploring new technologies, and I do that by coding most of the time. Um, let me put that. Yeah, so I also try to record my learnings. So I have blog on Dev2 and Medium, and if you check my blog, you will see you'll notice initially I started writing around about Android using Java, and then I had the opportunity to experience Flutter. So I start to capture my learning on Flutter. I did few blog posts around Amplify and Flutter and about Flutter specifically. For example, I have a tips series, more than 100 tips that I learned and I recorded and published that on both Dev2 and Medium. I am a big believer of learn by doing, and this is how I'm learning Flutter and Amplify is by building apps. I have a couple of apps on both Google Play and Apple Store. I think I have not a lot of users, but I'm happy with that. I have around in total around 3,000 users, mainly in two parenting apps I did for my daughter, and then I scaled that to help the others. You can find the links to those apps on my Twitter, and you can feel free to download, install, and let me know your thoughts. I also built we are talking about Flutter puzzle and games. I built a basic math games. I published that on both Android, both Google Play and Apple Store. Not a lot of users, but it's just a way for me to learn and apply my learnings and record my learnings and try it in a real in a production environment. Today we are going to talk about how we'll use AWS Amplify and Flutter to build a full stack app. So first, let's talk a little bit about AWS Amplify, what it is. AWS Amplify is a set of tools and services that enables mobile and front-end web developers to build secure, scalable, full-stack applications powered by AWS. With Amplify, you can create different types of application. You can build AI-powered apps. You can launch target campaigns. And more. There's a lot of use cases there. Whatever use case you might have, AWS Amplify is here to help you to develop and release those apps to your customers. AWS Amplify include an open source framework. So we love open source. We are all the libraries in GitHub. It's open source. We interact with customers through GitHub issues, through RFCs, and all the fun stuff that come with open source. Couple of years ago, we had a few years ago actually, we had a request around Flutter. So we first started with Amplify JS, and we got a request to support Flutter, and it was a very popular issue. As you can see here, got a lot of thumbs up, smiles, hearts. As you can see, the developers are very emotional around about Flutter. And we always work from from the customers and then backwards. So we decided to add the support to Flutter, and that was a great decision by the leadership, and we are happy with the outcome of that. So we introduced AWS Amplify Flutter. The Amplify Flutter library is designed as a collection of plugin packages for different categories. So we are category centric design. So we have a collection of plugins for those categories. Thus, use case centric API interface to be integrated into your Flutter app are written in Dart and communicate with the platform specific implementation that use iOS, Amplify iOS, and Amplify Android under the hood. The communication is done using platform channels. This platform channel is a simple mechanism for communicating between the Dart code and the platform specific code. By creating a common channel, you can send and receive messages between Dart and the platform component written in a language like Kotlin or Swift. Data is serialized from a Dart type, like map, into a standard format, and then deserialized into equivalent representation in Kotlin, such as hash map, or Swift, such as dictionary. We use method channels, which enable sending messages um, for our API calls and getting the results back, and use event channels for things like subscriptions and hub events. This library is also designed like with a pluggable architecture in mind. So we are trying to think ahead. By doing this architecture, this involves like writing a plugin interface in Dart for each category, as said. Now, this plugin then implement, and currently all the plugins, as said, we're using iOS and Android, but this design will allow us in future to use a Dart-only SDKs and target different platforms like a web or desktop in future. So today, again, to recap, we're using a native collection of plugins, but we designed, so that we can consider in the future to have like a Dart only SDKs and Dart only plugins, and move away, or live together with Android and iOS. You heard me saying categories. So as I said, like we are a use case centric design. So we have in Amplify, we have a collection of categories. For example, we have the auth category, which provide interface for authenticating a user and enabling use cases like sign up, sign in, MFA, etc. Behind the scenes, it will provide the necessary authorization to the Amplify categories. So the first category usually you will add to your app is the authentication. It comes with a default built-in support for Amazon Cognito. This is the authentication service we have in AWS. Use the Cognito user pools and identity pools. Then we have here the storage. And this will give you an interface for managing user contents for your app in public, protected, or private storage buckets. It enables use cases like upload, download, deleting objects, and provides a built-in support for the Amazon S3 service. Analytics to collect tracking data for authenticated or unauthenticated users, and we use Amazon Pinpoint for that. I'll show you example of those data in a few minutes. Using the analytics category, you can record events and extend the default functionality for the custom metrics by adding attributes as needed. Then we have the API, which is REST or GraphQL. This will provide interface for retrieving and persisting your data. Using GraphQL backed by AWS AppSync or REST APIs, handle using Amazon API Gateway and AWS Lambda. We have also another category, the DataStore, which provides you an object-oriented programming model that makes working with distributed cross-user data just as simple as working with local-only data. Provide with models or types native to the platform language you're working on, and are code-generated based on your GraphQL schema. It handles real-time data offline, synchronization, and conflict resolution. This data store, as said, will give you a programming model for leveraging shared and distributed data without writing any additional code for offline and online scenarios. So it can support both without any additional overhead from you. It make working with distributed and cross-user data simple as working with a local storage. You power all of those capabilities using the AWS AppSync. The AWS AppSync, the cloud service, provides a built-in support for advanced conflict detection and resolution strategies. When you combine the data stores with the AppSync, now you have a simple programming model where you can easily have a data offline and real time and also upload it to synchronized with the cloud. Starting an Amplify app or project is as easy as running few commands in the CLI. You do the Amplify init, and then you add the authentication, and then you can add whatever category you want. If you need analytics, there's a command for that. If you need the API, which will power your data store and introduce as we said, the real-time sync with the cloud, you do that add API command. Once you are happy and ready, you can push this to the cloud, which will create for you the cloud formation. It will be deployed via the AWS cloud formation. I will have your backend hosted and deployed in AWS. With the data store, as you said, you will have the programming models that does not require from you to know how to code GraphQL on the client side. You have the simple construct, simple methods to do all the required operations. You can save save a model, delete it, or do a query for that. All of this will be converted to GraphQL automatically behind the scenes. We are adding a new feature to the data store. We have the Observe Query API. This Observe Query API, this single API, will give you two functionalities on a high level. You will be able to query the data, and you'll be able to automatically subscribe to the subsequent real-time updates. So it will return an initial data set similar to the query example we saw on the previous slide, and then you will be automatically subscribed to any changes to that data. This can be useful to show your customers some initial data first while the app is syncing. Again, to iterate all of this is powered by the CLI. So the CLI tool with the GraphQL transform, this is maybe probably the most powerful Amplify CLI tools. To provide simple to use abstraction, help you to quickly create the backends for your web or mobile application. All of this based on GraphQL schema that you defined either in your app, or if you like me, prefer a visual interface, then you can also the same data modeling on the Amplify Studio, which it's like an admin portal. I will show you a demo for that, where you can not only configure your data, but also you can configure the authentication or see or even like look into the contents of your data. So how this work? So as you said, like you just need to define a data model or a data type. You can add like, for example, in this example, we have a post, and those data you can add directives to get the most powerful features of GraphQL. In this example, I'm showing a model directive, which you can use here in this type, the post. And when you push those changes, the cloud formation stack will get started, and GraphQL API pre-configured with all the necessary CRUD for this type, for this post. Um, Create, read, update, delete logic, all that will be deployed and created for you in the backend and linked with the DynamoDB table. You can add other directives, like in this example, I have the auth directives where um, I'm we're trying like only the user who created the data will be able to access it. So this is example for that. You add the auth, you add the rules. Those rules you can obviously like add the different rules. For example, you can create like an admin group for those, and only the members of those admins will access the data. Once we commit the changes and deploy to the backend, a cognito user pool will be created and automatically configured to authenticate and authorize calls to this API. We added other auth directives and capabilities. Like we have the Lambda authorizers, the OIGC, Cognito users pools, IAM rules. All of that you will see all those details in our docs, and you can explore those use cases, and you will find a list of all the supported directives. Also, recently we updated how we how we do and how we configure the relationships. We introduced those directives around linking the tables or the types together. For example, we have the has many directive to create a has many relationship between types. Belongs to directive used to make existing relation like bidirectional, and many-to-many directive to create a many-to-many relationship. Under the hood, Amplify creates a join table to implement the relationship. The join table is named after the relation name argument, and it will inherit the authorization rules, if any. One of the directives that I didn't add to this slide, or I missed adding this slide, is the has one directive. And it's, as the name says, it's used to create a has one relationship between types. But you can find the list of those directives on our docs, which I will add to the slides, maybe share it on the chat. With the data store, this will give you a persistent on-device storage repository for you to write, read, and observe the changes. This also data store is supported for web or for the native apps. It can be used as standalone without cloud capabilities. Means you don't need to have the API sync, the cloud sync. You just get like an offline only use case. You can use the data store for that, which with this way, that means in theory you can build all your data or your data powered app without using AWS account. You can do all the testing, verify all the use cases before you deploy. Once you deploy, and when you deploy, you will need obviously an AWS account. Once you deploy, this is where the magic will start, because this is by deploying, you enable the cloud capabilities. The data store will manage the syncing and the getting the data in and out from offline to the cloud. So if you choose to sync with the cloud, which you can enable, the Amplify CLI will use the GraphQL schema, as we said, to deploy an AWS AppSync API backend with DynamoDB tables for each type you identified in your schema. DataStore will also keep changes keep track with the changes on both sides. And I'll show an example for that. So if you change on the cloud side, DataStore will pull this data into your app and the other way around. A new change I want to talk about also is the Amplify Flutter Authenticator. This is still in beta or a developer preview, and it's something I deployed. I think I published a YouTube video couple of weeks ago on that. I can share the link. Um, Basically, it's an open source cloud connected widget. Everything is a widget in Flutter that allow you to add a fully working authentication flow to your app with minimum efforts. With few minutes, you will have um, authentication, sign in, sign up flow based on the configuration you apply on your cloud, on your backend. There's other capabilities in the Authenticator. For example, there's the theming and the customization capabilities. It's very flexible. You can apply different themes. I'll show you an example of that. Um, all what you need to do is just to get started by warping your application with the Authenticator component. And then the child of the Authenticator widget will be the widget that the app will display after the user create or sign in. This is example about the theming and the customization. This screenshot how things will look like. You can apply the theme. By default, it will get your app material theme, but you can customize that to make the colors and buttons like reflected in the authenticator. We also added like a handcrafted Amplify theme. You have like a flag that you can turn on, and that will give you like a starting theme, which is unique from the default material theme, and it has support for light and dark mode. Another flexibility or customization option is around customizing the sign up, sign in, and confirm sign in forms. You can use a predefined field labels, or you can introduce your own fields. To add like a challenge or verification or whatever you have in your use case. You can customize the authenticator for that. Before I show you some code, I want to call out a couple of community initiatives we are doing. Probably maybe if you guys work on, if anyone here worked on Amplify, probably you heard about that. We have our Discord, the Amplify Discord. I think yesterday I saw we are very close to 15,000 member. This is an old tweet. We do an office hour on Thursday. We changed the time. Actually, I think it will start after this, like at 10 o'clock. We'll have an office hour where most of the time I will be there with their team members. We'll try to answer questions if any. We heard about we learn about the use cases. The community members, some of them come and they share their use cases, their applications. They talk about how they build, what use case they're addressing, etc. So it's usually a 1 hour filled with information and a good interaction and engagement with the community. We get also sometimes we host bring a guest from AWS or from external BMs from Amplify, for example. Sometimes they come and share their roadmap and talk about what new changes coming or new features that was released, etc. So I encourage you to join the Discord. There's a Flutter help channel where you will interact directly with the engineers. You can ask the questions and they will try to help you and address any challenges. Another thing we started this year is a contributor bash. We get a lot of interaction, as you said, as open source. We get like a few PRs from the community, issues, documentation changes, and we thought like this year to encourage more. So we started this initiative. We have a website for that, talk how this will work, how this bash will work, where on the issues we will flag some of the issues as a good first issue. We encourage you to pick one of those issues and work on it, submit the PR. It will get reviewed by the team, or in rare cases by security if needed, etc. It will go through the process. And if it get merged, we are introducing a reward, AWS credits, beside all the benefits that you will get from being active on the open source. Okay, let's talk about some code. So this is I will share with you a few code snippets from an app that I'm working on. It's far from being ready, but once it's ready, I'll publish it on GitHub and probably do like a work through on YouTube, or maybe we're talking about maybe a Flutter festival. Maybe we can do a deep dive into that next time. But I tried, in my apps when I add Amplify to architect like this way, and mainly we are going to use 4 categories. As you said, the auth category is the first category usually you need to add, which use the Amazon Cognito and the AWS IAM to authenticate the users. You can configure email or social login authentication. We have like Apple, Google, Amazon, Facebook, etc. With the Authenticator, usually that's all what you need to do, and then you just add the Authenticator, and then you will have all those reflected in your app. A few months ago, you needed to build the forms, the sign-in forms, the sign-up forms, add the branding and those Apple buttons or Google buttons, etc. But now with Authenticator, all of this will be ready for you and will reflect whatever settings you have on your backend. And I published on YouTube like a quick demo for that, only for the Authenticator. Once the user passed the authentication and now it's authenticated, the user will be able to use the other categories. So we'll have the storage, which based on the S3, as we said, where you can upload photos and use it on your app. You'll have the analytics that use Pinpoint to track the user interaction and the app events. And then we'll have the data category to manage whatever like to do, or whatever the app is doing. If you have like a to-do items or like a social blog posts, etc., this will be managed by the data category, which is the DataStore, which will include the sync engine to give you the offline first experience, and then it will use the app sync, which will act like an application data service with a real-time and offline implemented through the GraphQL, with additional capabilities like the built-in authorization rules and the conflict resolutions that we talked about. Let me show you a quick demo. As I said, the app is not ready. I'm just trying to bring the point that show you how we can code those capabilities that we discussed, and hopefully next time maybe we can do like more of a workshop style where we go through the implementation end to end. This is the app. This I didn't build any of this. This is um, this is the Authenticator, and I will show you the Amplify Studio, what we configured there. But we only have a simple authentication using email. So you will get those two tabs for the sign in and for the create account. And let's do like a quick create account option here, for example. I will use my Gmail account to create this. And I should get, once I those details, um, I should get a confirmation code in my email. And I got it here. Verification code. So this will come. This is using the Cognito, and Cognito handle all this logic for you, and Amplify work as abstract to show those to connect all this with your app. This is the Amplify Studio. I want to show you that the app. This is the record we just created. I created a table, which I will go through the schema in a minute. But this is reflect what we just created. And if I change, for example, this driver number, let's do this. It should get into in a minute. Here we go. It got reflected here in the cloud. And if I do the other way around, so if I change it in the Amplify Studio, save the driver, here you go. It got into the synced with your app. So let's talk about the Amplify Studio a little bit. So I personally, it's a personal choice. I prefer always to start from the Amplify Studio, give you that visual interface where you can configure everything you need. You can configure the authentication. Here in this example, I have only a simple authentication based on the email, but you can add other mechanisms. Like if I show you, the YouTube I published, I added like Facebook, Amazon, and Google, and also I think Apple. Yeah, so all the mechanisms is here. You deploy that, and that will create for you the Cognito backend. Additionally, you can do the data modeling. Okay, this is where you can define your types, your data types. I have two tables, the driver and the delivery in this example, and you can add the relationship between the two tables using graph visual interface. And then you can deploy this, and it will show you the deployment status here. What they created, everything, all the backend services. It will show you like, the status, updated, complete, etc. And then you can use the studio will give you like the required command to pull those information, and also will give you like tips what you need to do from a data, how to access the data, read it, create it, etc. So all the operations is available for you here. We talked about the pinpoint, another service back in. I told you I will show you the pinpoint example. This is what you get from pinpoint. It's an analytical system. So you'll see like, the endpoints that active, etc. This is for one of my apps. And you can see um, the daily active, monthly active, etc. And if you have a revenue, it will show here. or you can see the events counts, and you can customize that if you're looking for a specific event. Let's talk a little bit, show you some code snippet for what we talked about. The first one I will show you is the Authenticator. Okay. So as I said, like you warp your app with Authenticator, and once the user get authenticated, so in this example, it will go to the loading page. But that's it. Once you add that, and obviously add the packages to your app, and once you add that, then you have a fully authenticated system based on your backend configuration. You don't need to do anything else unless you need it. Like if you need to customize, you need to change the themes, you need to add other forms, you can add it here. But if you would want just a simple authentication system, I just want to show the authentication options to the customer. That's it. You're ready. You just add the authenticator and set your home page or your child page, like the loading page, and you're ready. Even it include like a sign out button that you can add it to your app, and it will handle for you all the state management for the authentication and all of that. I have a services layer for
Mo, sorry to interrupt you. Can you just make it a little bigger? So if you can close the maybe the folder structure.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. This is the Amplify Surface. Once you pull the command from the admin, from the Amplify Studio, it will create for you an Amplify folder here for all your configuration. It will set up for you like a JSON files and configuration files to reflect what you add in your backend. You'll see the API, the auth, the storage, etc. And you have the schema file that we talked about that you set up on the Amplify Studio, and you can edit here and push it. To add all of this to your app, or to integrate all of this to your app, you add the plugins to your Flutter configuration file, and then in my case, I added the Surface to add those plugins into using Dart. So I added the auth plugins, the DataStore, the analytics, storage, etc., and the API. With this code here, now you have the Amplify integrated, and then you can use your plugins into your pages. I have a controllers, for example, here, where I use the observe query, as I said. This is the code that build that experience I showed to you, where you can change the data either in your app or in the back end, and it will get reflected into your app. So it's going to listen to the changes into this table or this type, and once we get those changes, then we pull the items and we display that to the user. What else? Like this is the record event for using the analytics service, which I use as to integrate with analytics category. And in this service, I have record event. This is the main method where I just capture that event name, and we have identify user method, like we use it to pull some data for that get user. And I have a DataStore service, and this is just to do the data operations, saving and removing, etc. And the main one, that I think I missed is the authentication. And now with the Authenticator, I used to build all the methods in this service. For now, it trimmed down for just a couple of methods I use just to get the current user and get the sessions and save a user into a data store. So this not once the user authenticated, I get some data from that user, and I created a table for that or a type for that, and I save it into the data store. There's a different way to do it, but just here to show the example of the operations we do. I said like this is just to share like mainly code snippet and functionality, but I usually update the code on GitHub. We can share the links, and maybe next time we can do like end-to-end workshop style to build this app from scratch, like completely from scratch, and share it with you on the next Flutter festival, hopefully. And that's all. Any questions?
Thank you, Mo. I am trying to read through. There's a lot of stuff here. Okay. I have the very first question from Jet. So is Amplify providing backend services for Flutter applications? Does Flutter allow you to use a local database on your Flutter-based app? He's not familiar with Flutter. And if so, how does Amplify component interoperate with local database on the mobile device? Maybe Amplify acts as only storage for Flutter app, no local storage. Yep.
So it's like yes for all the above. So first of all, like if we break this question, I think I hopefully I understood it. If we break this question, first of all, like Flutter, outside Amplify, Flutter, yes, you can use like widgets and packages to access local DataStore. So you'll get like offline only capability. You can use the local storage in your app or whatever service you can use there. Now, what Amplify will help is if you want to have like offline online capability. So Amplify is a backend abstract. There's a backend layer. It will configure for you a backend, a cloud layer for your application. But you are not moving away from the offline experience. And this is where the data store, as I said, will help you. With the data store, you will get both the good of two worlds. So you will have offline experience. If the user, is for some reason they don't have coverage, I don't think that's a big challenge these days. But for some reason, if there's no coverage, the user's not online, your app will still function. Like all the functionality will still work fine for you. It will store everything locally without any extra widgets, without any extra packages, just the data store or the Amplify packages. And once the user goes online, it will sync with the cloud. Now, I think it's good to have online capabilities because people change the mobile, they uninstall, install. You have another mobile, or you change service, or whatever. You get a new shiny iPhone or Galaxy, and then you just sign in, and your app will pull the data from AWS, and you'll not lose anything. So hopefully I answered your questions. Bottom line, Amplify will give you both offline only if you want, or offline online if you want.
The next question is, I hope that was clear. The next question is, are there any callbacks from Authenticator states except success?
Yeah, like if it's not, for example, if the users already exist, like you will get an error for that, and you can customize that with the Authenticator, by the way, to display those errors. If the verification code I did was wrong, you will get an error for that. So yes, you will get errors, and we always try to improve the error messages because it's not always only around a hero flow, but we always try to improve what information you will get from the other services and add to it. But yes, the answer is yes. You will get notifications, not notification, but you will get like some messages around what went wrong, or what this is not valid, or the email is not valid, etc.
And other question for you is, where is the Amplify Discord office hours? Can you post the Discord link here, Mo?
Yes, I can. I'll grab it and put this for you on the chat. And it will be, I think it's starting in, let me check my calendar, because I think it's starting in 10 minutes. Yeah. So
Okay, then the next one is, does Amplify CLI require Amazon account? Or, I mean, what is this? Yeah, can we use Amplify CLI without tying it to Amplify Web Console? Sasha
yes,
asking.
yes. So I think the question is, uh, uh, you don't want to use the Amplify Studio. Um, so yeah, it's optional. As I said, it's depend on what you your preference. But yeah, you don't need to use. You can just do everything with the CLI.
Sweet. Did I miss anything? I don't think so.
Uh,
There's a lot of
yeah,
um,
just put the Discord link in the chat here. Um, it will start at 10.
noon. Noon PST is 2 hours from now. Yes, that's
No, 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 no. That's all tweet. Sorry for that. We just changed the time to accommodate more, different time zones. It's going to start earlier. It's actually starting in 10 minutes. That the office hour, but of course, it's Discord is open 24 hours. I think yesterday, like around 11 before midnight, I checked, there was like 1,000 developer online, and Discord. It's very active, but the office hour is starting in 10 minutes.
Is there anything else that anyone has? Any other questions? If not,
Um,
where
yeah,
where will be the presentation posted? The presentation will not be posted, but then I can upload this video to. Oh yeah, it is there, Mo. Are you going to be?
so I'll upload it, a share link, and I can share it with you. And I usually write, as I said, blogs and all those details, and tweet about it. So if you want to follow me, I will be sharing the links there also.
But the video is recorded, and if you subscribe to GDG San Jose channel, you would be seeing it as well. So with that said, hey, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm going to be taking control of this. Is that okay? Okay, presenter mode off. So thank you so much. And thanks for joining. Please come back again. We have an event on March 3rd on Firebase and Firestore. So hopefully we'll see you back again. And there's going to be a Flutter festival coming up. I'm trying to figure out the logistics of it, hopefully by this month. And so thank you so much for joining us, and hope to see you soon. This will be recorded and posted. And thanks for coming, Mo, and thanks for presenting. Hopefully we can do an end-to-end sooner. Thanks a lot, guys. And if you have any questions, please post it to